The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
One of my favorite stories of a person who was completely mevatel dato, and he understood that he had a great responsibility, and he acted on that. The story goes is that the Reshash of Shmuel Shrasan, he was besides for a tremendous gaon, tzaddik. You look at the back of any Gemara, you'll find Chedushay Hagaot Reshash. Amazing, brilliant, every single one. That Reshash was known that he had a table, a massive table, and he somehow had this pulley system or like some levers on with his feet that was by moving it or pressing certain buttons, the table would move. So it was like some type of like a revolving table. So it was always full of Sfarim. So whenever he was onto one step and he wanted to move to the next one, he moved it and it moved around. And he was a businessman supposedly, and he was known to be a very wealthy businessman, but that was not his claim to fame. His claim to fame is knowing Shas and giving illuminating concepts that for the rest of eternity we're always indebted to him for helping us and writing it, and we have in the back of the Shas. So the story goes is that Reb Shmuel Strassen, the story goes, is that he had, because he was quite wealthy, he had a Gemilut Chesed fund that he would allow people who needed to have loans extended to them, they would go to him. Now he had one ironclad rule, and the rule went as follows. The rule went is that when you borrowed money from this Gemach, you had to have a shover, you had to have a ledger written out, and this receipt, the Rashash, he kept. So when the person would come back with the money and paid in full, he would give them back the receipt, and then the person hopefully would be smart enough and tear it up. The Gemara talks all this. You find the shover if you find the receipt. Who does it belong to? The malveh, the lender, or the loveh, or the borrower? Who do you give that to? Okay, anyways, that's the Gemara that talks about that. So the Rashash was very makbid every single time that he made sure to have a halva, that he made somewhat a lending using the Gemach's money. This person would get their money back, and when the person got their money back and then was able to pay up, he would give them the receipt and then they would destroy it. So the story goes that one person took halva, I'm not exactly sure, it was 1,000 golden coins, it was some significant amount, and the Rashash said, okay, I'm writing in my ledger, you owe me 1,000 coins. Now, to appreciate this story, the Gemara tells us, Stam halva shloshim yom, that when a person borrows money, we can safely assume that people want to extend the amount of money that they have for as long of a time that they can. You never know, investments come up, people like paying in cash, and you can get a good deal here and there. So if you have access to hard cash, people are going to want to utilize that. So we can assume that when a person says they want to borrow money, they're going to want to hold on to the money to at least 30 days. This person who borrowed the money from the Rashash, apparently he did not know this Gemara, or he didn't want to hold on to borrowed money. Maybe he had some fear or phobia, whatever it might be. And within a few days, his business turned around, and he actually got back the money that he borrowed. He had immediately 1,000 gold coins. So instead of holding on the money and investing, he said, you know what, I'm going to go back to the Rashash within a few days and return the money to him so I don't have that all of this yoke of trying to give back the halva. Okay. He comes back to the Rashash's study, and the Rashash, you can imagine, he's sitting there learning, and he was standing there 1 minute, 2 minutes, after 5 minutes of standing there and trying to clear his throat, the Rashash was completely oblivious, did not realize it. He figured, you know what, I'm not going to bother him. He's obviously learning. He's a Talmid Chacham. Maybe he glanced up, maybe he saw me, whatever. You know what? It's 1,000 golden coins. It's not like he'd be like, I'll probably put two and two together. The 1,000 golden coins is probably for me. I just had, so fine. So he put a little note. This is he said, from my name, 1,000 golden coins. And he put the 1,000 golden coins with the note, this is from me, on top of his Gemara, as the Rashash was sitting there, closing his eyes very, very tightly, deep in concentration with his hand over his eyes, thinking back and forth, swaying to and fro. And then the man left. And as the money's sitting there with the note, the Rashash is going back and forth, no, that can't be the pshat. And with his eyes still closed, he closed the Gemara. And took the Gemara, put it back on the shelf, with the money and the note there. Fast forward a few days later, day number 30 comes, the Rashash calls this young man to his study. The person's like, yes. He's like, Habibi, where's my money? Kvar Harav, kvar shilamti. You did? What are you talking about? No, Kvar Harav. You know, I paid. I came into your office, you were learning. You sure about that? Hey, listen, if you want an extension, I can give you more money, or if you need more time. Kvar Harav, no, you're saying I'm lying? I'm not saying, we have a rule here. I give you back the receipt. you never got the receipt from me, so I have the receipt still, so I didn't know what you're talking about. Kvod Rav, I gave you the money. Listen, you can't lie to me. Don't lie to my face. Don't tell me you paid when you did. Kvod Rav, I'm telling you, I paid. Listen, yeah, okay, I'm about to get upset at you. You're telling me to my face that you paid when you clearly did not, because how else do I not have it? Kvod Rav, I paid. Listen, I would advise you to please leave my study right now, and in the next 2 days, please get the money back, okay? Don't play games like this with me. And this person was so bewildered, he was so puzzled and concerned. He's like, what, I paid? 2 days later came back, Kvod Rav, I paid back. Listen, if you're going to do that, I'm going to have to tell people that you're a dishonest person. Kvod Rav, I paid back. Please get out of my study. He literally threw him out. And then, you can imagine, he was so embarrassed, and then people were saying, oh my gosh, what happened? And then, before you know it, everyone was saying he's a ganav, he's a thief, and don't want to do business with him, that Rashash gave him 1,000 golden coins. The audacity to lie to his face, what's wrong with him? And the family was so embarrassed about this story, they picked themselves up, it was in Vilna, and they left Vilna, they left Lithuania, and they went to some neighboring country or neighboring town, and they went there, all because of this mix-up. Story goes, 1.5 to 2 years later, the Rashash was going through a sugya, and he's going back and forth, and he says, I know it's a Gemara somewhere, and he pulls out that tome, that Gemara that he hadn't seen in a long time, opens it up, and as he opens it up, what falls out? A note with 1,000 golden coins. And he looks at it, and it's the name of the person. He goes, oh my gosh, what did I just do? What did I just do? Immediately, he got up, he ran to his shamash, he says, quick, get me a wagon, we have to go immediately and find out where this person is. And they start going all around the town, and people are like, oh, he's a ganav. Anyways, he found that one person who used to be a friend of his. He said, I think I heard maybe he's in a neighboring town, a neighboring village, maybe you should go there. Anyways, they go there, they're asking around the Rashash. Every moment is precious to him, and he wants to ask Mechila from this person. Finally, he finds this person living out in the middle of the boondocks, in the middle of nowhere, out in the sticks. And he's out there, and he comes knocking on his door, and the man was there, he says, what do you want? You calling me a ganav again? You're going to tell me that I'm a wicked man? You're going to tell me that I'm going to burn again? No, I don't want them musar. Thank you. Slams the door in his face. He knocks again on his door. Please, I'm begging you, open the door. Yes. I'm so sorry. Please. I embarrassed you like that. Please, Mechila. And he says, I didn't realize you were right. You were saying the emet the whole time. But I have a rule that I never give out. I never allow the money to get past me unless I give you the shova, unless I give you the receipt. And here I didn't give that to you. I'm so sorry. Obviously it's a mix-up. Can you please accept my apology? He looks and says, accept your apology? When am I going to get my reputation back again? People are going to say, oh, the Rashash, such a tzaddik. You know why he's doing this? Because he feels bad. And tzaddikim don't want people to feel bad. That's why he is saying he wants mechila. But you don't really believe he's really an honest person. No one believes that. Why should they believe that? They believe this far-fetched story? They'll say you're an even bigger tzaddik. The guy stole 1,000 golden coins from you, and you're willing to make amends and tell him, no, come back. So you're such a tzaddik. But no one's going to believe, no one's going to do business with me. So Shash says, good point, let me think. He says, I have an idea. Do you have any children? He says, yes, I have an older daughter. No one wants to go with a shidduch with her because they think I'm a crook. Do you mind if I meet with her? Yeah, sure, meet with her. Lovely young lady. Because I think you'd be perfect for my son. Now you have to understand, his son, Matityahu, was at the top of every shadchan's list. He was the son of the Rashash. He was Talmid Chacham, Anav, wealthy, good looking, as they say in Yiddish, alamadlis. He had everything going for him. Everyone wanted to be married to him. And he had shidduchim coming left and right. The Rashash says, I have to speak with my son. Let me speak and see if we can make a shidduch. Because if I make a shidduch with you, that means that I really do trust you. I want to make a shidduch with a gana. If you're a rotten family, I would never do a shidduch with you whatsoever. So let's do that. So he went back to Vilna, called in his son Matityahu. He says, would you be willing to go out with this young lady? She seems like a very fine young lady. And I promise you, if it's something that's matim lecha, and you think that's a good shidduch, yes, you can get one of the best shidduchim in the world, but look at this, you're going to restore a family, a Jewish family, because we as a people have an achrayut. If Hashem gave us a position of leadership and power, we have to make the world a better place. Matityahu, are you with me? And Matityahu says, Abba, if she's matim, then I'm going to do it. He went out with her, and they got married. And if you look on Wikipedia, Be'urim V'tumim, next to Google, they cite that Matityahu Strasun was wealthier than his father 10 times over. And I say it's because of what he did for his dad. Because of the fact that he went out of his way and said, I am willing to listen to my father and do what was asked of me, even though I could have gotten the best and whatever, I did what was asked of me because I have a achayut, I have a responsibility. That's a person who gets beracha in their life.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org